If you have any of these on your CV, please remove it. It makes your CV very sick. Do you know that you can be denied a job just because of how your CV looks? In today's video, I'll be teaching you the 10 things you've got to take out of your CV. So if you want your CV to stand out, if you want your CV to be extraordinary, then watching this video to the end will go a long way to help you. At the end of this video, I'll show you where you can simply download a UK CV template so that you can tweak it to make it your own. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Sethdarkoagyemang. You can simply call me Kobe. But I believe today is your first time here. I believe that you have not subscribed to this channel yet. So endeavor to hit the subscribe button and become part of the family. So anytime I upload, you'll be the very first person to get it. And if this video meets your expectation, don't forget to hit the like button so that you too see the relevance of this video and then share it to as many people as they can. Having a very good CV helps. It presents you so well to the employer. Remember that your CV is the very first impression of you to the employer. Your CV goes to the employer first before you are invited for an interview. So if your CV is bad, possibly you'll not be shortlisted for an interview. And in that case, you won't get a job. So what are these 10 things that you have to avoid on your CV? If you've got your CV close by, I would want you to pick it up, put it by you, and then let's go through this one step at a time. Number 10, including a photo. In many countries, photos aren't necessary on CVs. They lead to what we call unconscious bias. So let's say you put your photo on your CV. Probably for all you know, this employer may not be looking out for someone who is black. Or just because of how you look on your CV, the person may deny you the job without even looking at the skills you've got or the experience you have. So what I would say is that instead of including your photo on your CV, just focus on your qualifications and experiences. They are very important. Number 9, making your CV too long. Based on my experience with regards to making CVs, what I want to say is that you've got to make sure that your CV is very concise. You see, employers have got just 6 seconds to scan and skim your CV. Employers haven't got too much time to go through your CVs. Probably making it too long will show them from going through and then realizing the important things in there. So just keep it simple. So what I would say is that aim for 1 to 2 pages, and if you've got enough experiences or enough stars you've got to add, then 3 pages will be fine. Number 8, using fancy fonts and designs. What do I mean? Your CV should be standardized, and one of the priorities you have to consider is the kind of font you use. So, is the font you've used consistent? I wanted to pick your CV and look at it. Have you used different fonts across your CVs? If that's the case, then I think you've got to sit back and then edit it. Ensure that a CV has one consistent font. I made a previous video about the CV format and I talked about the various fonts you can use to make your CVs. We have Tahoma, we have Arial, we have Times New Roman, and a whole lot. So you can check that video on here to see the type of font to use for your CV. It's very important. Make sure that you're sticking to the standard font, and about the design, ensure that the layout is well standardized. The seventh thing I would want you to take out of your CV to make it look professional is spelling and grammar errors. You see, if there's one thing the potential employer is looking out from you, then it is your ability to pay attention to details. So if you make your CV and there are spelling and grammar errors, it tells the employer that you are very careless, and as a matter of fact, if you are given the job, you exhibit the same attitude in there. So what I would say is that before you submit your CV to an employer, ensure that you've gone through it. Give it to a third person to go through it so that if there's any mistake you couldn't pinpoint, or if there's any grammar errors you couldn't pinpoint, this person will be able to help you with that. Number 6, including irrelevant work experience. I know you might have worked in different sectors, probably depending on the position you carry now. But what I want to say is that you see, adding jobs that are unrelated to the position you're applying for can dilute your qualification. So what I want to say is that just know the job you're applying for, then look at the work experience you've got in that field. Avoid adding irrelevant work experiences that is not so related to the job you're applying for. It will make your CV very long, and the potential employer won't have time to go through all that. So the advice I can give you here is that it's better you focus on your recent work experiences, probably, rather than focusing on the jobs you did somewhere in your high school days or whatsoever. Number 5, using generic phrases. You see, when you pick about 10 CVs, you realize that 7 or 8 of them has got generic phrases. What do I mean by this? You see, terms like team player or hard worker are vague. And when you pick CVs, you see some of these things on there. Be specific about your contribution. So, for example, instead of you saying, I am a team player, I would want you to write, I collaborated with a team of 5 to streamline project workflows, resulting in 20% efficiency increase. So, be specific about your contribution. If you're a team player, what have you done to exhibit that? If you say you've got empathy, what have you done to exhibit that? So don't just list the attributes. You are hardworking, you are a team player, you have good communication skills. I mean, how do you exhibit it? Let this reflect on your CV. Just using those phrases makes your CV fake and it doesn't expose you or open up how well your contribution can help the company or the employer. So be very specific about it. The fourth thing I would want you to avoid or take out from your CV is listing references without being asked. You see, I know normally as part of the CVs we do, we would want to list references, and references are people we would want the potential employer to contact to get information about our character, as to whether we've been performing well, as to whether we have been exhibiting good attitude and stuff. But you have to be very meticulous about this. Not every employer wants to see references on your CV. So normally, if an employer wants to see a reference on your CV as part of the job application, they will get to list that. So when you read the job overview and then you don't see anything like that, you don't have to list any reference on your CV. So if at the point you've got reference or reference listed in your CV, then you've got to take them out. Only put them on there at the request of the employer. So on your CV at the reference section, all you've got to do is to put available on request. So if the employer receives your CV and then he wants to possibly contact your referees, then he'll come back to you and say, we want to contact your referees, can we get details about them? But if not, don't put the list of references on your CV. The third thing I would want you to be very mindful of is listing duties instead of your achievements. Okay. You see, the reason why sometimes you may not get a job, but someone will, is this part I'm going to talk about. What I've come to realize is that employers want to see results and not just a list of tasks. So if you can check your CV, you could see that you've listed all the stuff you can do. But then, are they results oriented? That's the question you should ask yourself. So let's say you're making a CV and on there you wrote manage social media accounts. Probably this is not results oriented. So instead of that, you can write increased social media engagement by 30% over 6 months. So this is results oriented. You have told the employer how much you've done. So not just listing tasks, but your achievements. So let's say if you can do this, what have you achieved about it? Put that on your CV, make it specific. Let the employer know that probably you've been in that situation before and you've been able to manage things right. So this is something you have to take into consideration. Number 2, using unprofessional email address. I would want you to check your CV. Your email address should be found on the top. But the question you should ask yourself is it professional? What is a professional email? And what is an unprofessional email? Possibly a professional email should be the one that bears your name. For example, if you use an email address like partygirl123 at example.com, now this email address doesn't really bear your name, so it's not professional. This doesn't give the right impression about you as a candidate. So what you've got to do is to use a professional email with your name, like Sethdarkoagyemang@gmail.com. Okay, so it should bear your name possibly. Number 1, writing in first person. What is first person? I'm going to explain for you to understand. And I know most people make these mistakes on their CVs. If you talk about first person, you are looking at the word I. Now the question is, have you used I on your CV or my? So for example, if you want to write a professional summary, you may start like, I'm hardworking, my school, my dad, they shouldn't appear on your CV. So instead of saying I led a project, simply write led a project to develop something. So don't include I or my in your CV. It is not accepted. It makes your CV unprofessional. So these are basically the 10 things that I believe that you've got to avoid on your CV to make it stand out. And to conclude, what I want to say is that be very meticulous about what you put on your CV, because the little things on there can make you get a job or make you lose it. So make it your concern to go through it before you send it to a potential employer so that all these mistakes are avoided. Alright, so before I take a leave of you, I want to say this. If you've got a son or a daughter who you want to learn coding, probably I'm going to recommend this course to you. It's really made for kids. Understand that you are in the computer age at the moment, and then coding is becoming more and more financially engaging. So if you should indulge your son or daughter in at this particular age, I think he or she is going to grow to become a giant in this field. And I believe that at a point, you as a parent will be more fulfilled. So I'm going to leave the link to the course in the description box. If you want your son or your daughter to jump onto it, it's very simple. It has been explained vividly to the point that a child can easily understand. So possibly grab the link and then jump onto it. Enroll your son or your daughter on this course. Remember, we are in the computer age, and he who knows how to use the computer right makes more money. Thank you very much for being with me at today's point. I really appreciate you for watching this video, and I believe that your expectations have been met. If it has, what I want to say is that don't forget to subscribe to this channel, and also don't forget to hit the like button and share, because there's someone else there who is willing to get onto this information as well. Hope to see you in my next video. Bye.